Good evening. These are the meanings from the book by Brian Fraud and Jessica Macbeth of the Fairies Oracle, and the cards I dealt out were from Spirit, like I dealt what was pertinent for Thursday evening. Alright, so these will have messages. Whatever we're reading will have pertinent messages for those viewing. Alright, but the purpose of reading the message from the book is actually to give the viewers a new perspective when they're watching tarot readers channel messages. We, like myself, I channel the messages usually, and the viewer gets that message, but by reading these messages within the book, you'll have a new perspective to have more out of each reading. Alright? So this is just going to be reading the messages for you. Alright, first I'm going to show you all the ones for tonight, going through the whole book each day. So first one up is 30, and it's the Leon. Want you to look at the, when I show you the card, see what you think, whether you think it's a positive card, a negative card, or what you see out of the card for your situation versus what I read in the book. Okay? This is 34, Sylvanus. Oh, sorry. Number 9, Singer of Initiation. Ooh. That's, you get initiated for a new gate. 56, Luminous Doom. Aww. Isn't he cute? Looks like an orangutan with no hair. Unity, number 1. Indy, 63. And this little guy, Gawitcha. Okay, so I'm going to start with, first one up was 30. And this is for Thursday evening, but when you're watching, this is when it was meant to be anyways. So, the Leum, unconditional giving, unconditional receiving. Aw, she's so cute. Alright, she is the Lom in the same way that the MacGregor is the chief of the clan MacGregor. The Lom of the Loms, Lom is a charitable soul in the old sense of the word charity, which is loving and giving. She knows the joy of giving without expectations of return. From practicing this ourselves, we learn, I'm going to sneeze, we learn that there's always a return, often from the least expected source. The universe likes to keep its accounts up to date, and the law's job is to encourage us to keep the credit side of the cosmic's accounts balanced by freely giving. We have been giving the earth, the sun, the stars, and the moon. We have been given trees and flowers and things to eat and a multitude of prospective friends. It's going to take considerable amount of generosity to come into balance with all those gifts we have already received. When we fall out of balance in what we give and what we receive, we can have constipation or diarrhea of the spiritual realm. Okay. Spiritual constipation makes us toxic and bloated and unable to deal with more intake. Spiritual diarrhea makes us energetically depleted, limp, and needy. The spiritual forms of these particular malfunctions are entirely a result of our choices about balancing and giving and receiving. You may think you have it right, but if things are not going well for you, the loom suggests you think again. If you are pushing and pushing at something, it can often help greatly just to back off, relax about it, and let the energy flow. If at the same time you have backed from your efforts, you put energy into the universe elsewhere, then energy just naturally has to flow back to you in the most appropriate and generous forms. The universe also has to keep its accounts balanced. Studying the loom's picture, a discussion group member wrote, "The loom is still bugging me. She looks passive but watchful. I think she feels that this giving business needs a bit more explanation. It is about being ready to do that sometimes quite small thing just when it is needed. A pinch of fairy dust is just the right place at just the right time. Works wonders, but big clouds of fairy dust just makes everyone sneeze." This is true. Sometimes a bit of helpfulness now prevents a big need later, and sometimes a big thing is needed right from the beginning. Another oracle reader noted that the loom's wings looked a bit tattered and wondered, I'm going to sneeze. This indicates that it is sometimes appropriate to give until it hurts. Yes, it is, the loom says. Not as a habit, not as sort of metronome, but only on the rare occasions when it is truly needed. One of the loom's customs is to give through whatever pair of hands is nearest, providing they allow her to do so. Do you let the loom give through your hands, or do you put them in your pockets and hold back, holding on to what is yours? If so, you are missing a lot of fun, some interesting experiences, and spiritual growth. So if you get this in a reading, if you are stuck or blocked in a situation and the loom turns up in a reading, you probably need to stop focusing on what you are trying to accomplish. Simply give to others freely and generously and unconditionally. Try a few random acts of kindness and unconditionally giving, of course. Go do some volunteer work somewhere. Mow your elderly neighbor's lawn, or take homemade soup or some flowers from the garden to someone you know who is ill. Give some help to a coworker just because they need it. Give to a needy stranger, whether or not you think he deserves it. Take flowers to a hospital and give them to a stranger randomly, or give them to a nurse with compliments from the universe. Give a bit more than you think you can afford. Go a little further than you think you reasonably can. Empty your wallet, empty your purse of all of the cash for a beggar on the street. Don't worry, it will fill up again much faster than you might expect. How cool is that? I like the pay it forward thing too. You get a chance to. 34, Sylvania. This is really pretty. I'm amazed at the artwork. Oh. Sylvanus, truth, cutting through deception and clarity. Brian called this painting the mask of truth, true dreaming. Sylvanus, who holds the mask of truth, is lord of the woodlands. His crown of antler branches signify his authority. He presents the masks to us, supported by the fairy of aspirations, as she welcomes us to our own potential. We wear the mask to look inward, seeing our true selves, not our false and fearful selves, but the being of light that we truly are and what we have the potential to be. It becomes very difficult for us to make excuses and blame others for our failures and fears once we have seen what we could be if we were willing, what in fact we already are, but are not quite living up to it. I thought it was very odd that there is a mask of truth. It seemed to me that we use masks to hide truth rather than to reveal it. Oh no, Sylvanus assured me. First you put the mask on and hide, and then you take it off to reveal the truth. Very fairy. I see, I said. Not certain I did, but not sure I wanted to either. Besides, Sylvanus continued, your face is not your truth. Sometimes faces need to be hidden so truth can be seen, or sometimes you need to make a crack in consciousness, an aha moment, in order to see the truth you had been blind to. From before the time we were born, people have been projecting their ideas, hopes, fears, and confusions upon us. As we grow up, we accept many of these untrue projections as our reality, our part false, partly true picture of ourselves. Brian wrote, the fairy conundrum holds one of the many sacred swords of fairyland. This one, forged long ago by mysterious dwarves, is laid across the cliff on the other world. As a bridge to the fairyland, the two-edged sword symbolizes the union of the human world with the world of fairy, as well as the union of the outer world of nature and the inner world of the psyche. It is the sword of clear-cut understanding and sharp perception, but once we cross into fairy, it becomes the sword of courage and noble service. Okay, so if you get this in a reading, at this time you are discovering new truths about yourself. They are essential for you to know in order to create relationships based on mutual respect, affection, and trust. These things can only work if we see ourselves and others as we are. Currently, both fairies and this world are functioning as a giant mirror in which we see ourselves in many surprising ways. People tend to dread this because we assume that we are worse than we think we are. But this is far from necessarily true. Now is a time for finding out the false and misleading beliefs you have accepted and discovered that you are a better person than you thought and have the potential to accomplish more than you believed you could. If someone says you are better or simply different than you think you are, don't automatically reject this. Think it over carefully. You have more to give and more to enjoy than you have been given yourself credit for. Very nice. Ooh, the Singer of Initiation, number 9. I think the smell of that's making me sneeze. 9. The Singer of Initiation, passage through trial, triumph, new level. I would say trial and tribulation. Alright, so the Singer of Initiation brings a major transition between old and new. As we prepare to pass through any gate, we are greeted by the Singer, who tests us to see if we are ready to enter into the new realm, or whether for our own safety and well-being we must stay where we are at. There is no initiation without testing, and this testing must take us to our limits in order to be valid. Initiation is not just a charming ritual with candles and incense and other occult paraphernalia. True initiation is grounded in materials, reality, and it extends through body, mind, and emotions. The testing occurs on all levels of our being. The more profound the change being processed, the more rigorous the test. However, these initiations are only given when the singer knows we have the potential, the ability, and the opportunity to pass them. If we pass the initiation this singer offers, we are strengthened by the process itself. In working through it, we learn something about ourselves, and we move finally and irrevocably from one way of being to another. If you receive this in a reading, breakthrough drawing this card notifies us that significant change and challenges are both occurring in our lives, with the potential for moving into a new realm, which involves a new way of being. This major change has been building for a long time, and the moment is now. It's now here to meet this challenge. We may already be aware of the initiation process, but perhaps have only seen it as bad luck or fate. It is neither. It is an opportunity to see if we have deep down truly learned the lessons we have been working on and are willing to apply them in our lives. Often, not knowing just what the initiation is about can seem one of the most difficult aspects of the process. However, once passed, it eventually will all become clear in hindsight. For now, we only need to know, as the singer said to one Oracle member, it can be done. Look with your heart. The presence of the singer of initiation in a reading often passages a period of success of seeing, accepting, and using our own powers at a higher and more ethical level. We move into greater fulfillment of our potentials. It also means taking on a new level of responsibility for ourselves and in the world. The gate is open to us, but we must take the action of stepping through it and pass the initiation, of course. For those that are on the journey of the twin flames, we often get, when we get to that point that you just think you can't take it anymore, it's because you're right at that veil of the gate where you're getting that initiation test. So you got to keep pushing past that. You got to pass the test to get to that next level. 56. Luminous Doom. He's so cute. Where this guy got the picture. 36, sorry. Oh. 56, sorry. Luminous Doom. Self-defeat, self-pity, self-destruction, taking care of ourselves. Self-pity is the first step on the slippery, seductive slide towards self-destruction. Much of what I've said above about the Soul Shrinker, card 55, applies to the Luminous Doom, so please read the Soul Shrinker first. Okay, well, I read that earlier today. You'll have to go back in one of the other readings. Challenges, Luminous Doom, right next to the Soul Shrinker, but they are the closest of cousins. The Soul Shrinker observes the way we curse others through energy attitude. Luminous Doom observes the way we curse ourselves. So the Soul Shrinker, just in a short explanation, if you didn't see the video for that one, is people that gossip or say malicious things about other people. That's considered cursing them, and so that has to do with the Soul Shrinker, because you're shrinking your own soul by gossiping or causing others harm with your words. So this one is Luminous Doom, and this one is when we say bad things about ourselves or think bad things about ourselves, okay? In a way, though, The part of our souls that he witnesses is worse than what the soul shrinker sees. When we curse others through sending the energy of malice and ill toward them, they may reject our sendings. However, when we curse ourselves through self-pity and self-destruction attitudes, there is little, if any, resistance, and the curse takes immediate effect. This continues to act until we change our attitudes. It's interesting, isn't it, how we can see at once that the soul shrinker is ugly, but Luminous Doom has a certain charm, a kind of weird attractiveness. We feel sorry for him. He looks so pitiful, and there is another side to him. That's one Oracle group participant sees. Hang on, my computer's there. He can be there. Oh wait, shh, I lost my space. I feel that Luminous Doom is underrated as a helper. He can be there for you when no one else wants to know. The state of self-pity, when all seems terrible and the whole world is against you, is an important part of the process. We all get down sometimes. You could say that we even need it to compare with when we feel good. Luminous Doom is ready and willing to help us explore just how awful it is, all feels. Just how bad is it, and how hard done by we feel. I don't think that was meant to be wrote that way. And what has made us feel like that in the first place. It is very important to really get to know these feelings, or how can you possibly let them go if you don't properly know them in the first place? Our feelings need to be fully acknowledged and understood, or we just tuck them away and hide them from sight until they appear again, maybe in a different guise. Luminous Doom helps us properly explore our gloomy feelings of doom so that we can be done with them. It is a very important job. The ultimate test here, of course, is to take responsibility for ourselves and our attitude, and to choose a path that is life-affirming, not life-denying. The sorer we feel for ourselves, the worse our life becomes. Reread that last sentence, please. It is not the other way around. Self-pity makes things worse, and we have a choice. One we have every moment as to whether we want to make our lives better or worse, and only we can choose that for ourselves. Okay, so if you get this in a reading, it is time to face the fact that our attitudes and beliefs about ourselves are our own. We may have learned them from others, but the others are not responsible for them in the here and now. We are. If we choose self-pity and pessimism, we make a choice that makes our lives worse. When this card appears in a reading, it indicates that this is a time when understanding and concept is especially important. A time when there is some sort of crutch in the situation that offers someone the opportunity to notice the change, such as self-destructive habits. If it is yourself, you know what you need to do. If it is someone else, you may wish to consider how you might support them in this opportunity for change. Can you make sure to give positive feedback at a moment, every appropriate opportunity? Can you refrain from nagging, scolding, complaining at them when they get it wrong? These things do help. Okay. Whew. Okay, unity number 1. Okay. Unity, mystical experience, spiritual home. Unity comes first and last. In between, we have the illusion of duality, which we all believe in for a very long time. This apparently duality is ultimately shown to be an illusion, but it is an illusion through which we must pass, through which we learn and grow, and then once again return to unity. You must have had mystical experiences where you have had true union with other beings, or even with the unity, the one who is all. Such experience changes our lives, effectively showing us that the saying, "we are all one," is not just a pious belief, but it is a statement of actual fact. We are not separate like the flower in a field, but we are one. The only way to reach this awareness is to surrender the small, everyday self to the larger spiritual self, which is unity. Experiencing full oneness with the unity is transformative. Looking at this painting, one observes notes. One observer notes, all the power is focused in here, vast energies. It is as if that power is looking for a place to happen. This is exactly what is going on. Unity is the energy of the cosmos, still unmanifest, still without form. Here we see the dark and the light, masculine and feminine, active and passive, and other polarities, all expressed in balanced energy, filled, vibrant union. All that is one, and that one is the goddess, God or goddess, is the principle expressed. From this, all else derives. This is the source from which we draw our strength, our very being. So if you get this card in a reading, when this card comes up in a reading, it is asking us to remember the mystical concept that we are all one, unified in a holistic universe. It reminds us to look at the needs and goals we have in common with others, and to seek cooperation and community action in everything on our own. To achieve our goals, we need the active cooperation of others, and to get that cooperation, we must be helpful to them and willing to work with their ideas as well as our own. It suggests that we think of things in terms of equal partnerships rather than in lines of hierarchy authority. Unity also tells us that we have much to gain by remembering our own wholeness. Resolution of inner conflicts is often necessary before we move ahead. It is important at this time that we work towards cooperation and reconciliation within and without. Seek the highest good of all involved, and not merely your idea of highest good. Ask for the divine energy of unity to permeate and guide you. Okay. 63 Indy. Indy. It's indecision, wishy-washy commitment, decision-making. If you don't get him on the wish, you might catch him on the wash. But probably not, because by the time you think you've got a commitment from him, he's swung the other way again. Poor Indy. He can't decide between this and that, or is it that and this? If he just had more information, if he just had some kind of guarantee about the outcome, if he only could be certain about things, well, he can't. That isn't how life is. Indy sits on our shoulders as we wobble around trying to make a decision, and just as we think we've about got it, he mutters, "But what if?" And very likely we dissolve into confusion again. Decision-making makes him nervous because they involve commitment, and Indy seems to be frightened of that. What if he makes the wrong decision and it ruins his or someone else's life? What if he makes no decision, dithering forever, and that causes ruins? I feel sorry for Indy, and not only because I'm a Libra, for he's the only one of the fairy challengers who doesn't know what he should be doing. That is, he knows he should be making our decisions clearly and cleanly at the appropriate time, and he has some idea about how he might more easily go about that. But he is not himself a good decision maker. He's not a good decision maker. Sometimes he whispers almost tearfully in my ear, "You're going to drive me mad. You know, if you don't just make up your mind." Okay. There are many reasons why we hesitate when decisions and actions are appropriate. However, most of them boil down to fear. Fear of making a mistake, fear of harming others, fear of losing something of value to us, fear of harming ourselves, fear of responsibility, fear that we are simply not able to make a proper decision. We need to look honestly at our insecurities, recognizing them for what they are, our insecurities, not reality. Then we need to resolve what we can and set the rest in balance against what will surely happen if we continue to hesitate or procrastinate. Premature decisions and actions often create problems, but lack of decisions is a decision also, and one that creates its own set of misfortunes. Indy is also known as the Libra's bane, but an indecisive Libra truly is Indy's bane. He would be so relieved if we would just make our own decision, our own commitment, and stick to them. Then he might learn to do this for himself and be in a better position to help others. Caught up in Indy's energy, one Oracle group member, who is usually a great decision maker herself, responded to the above paragraph, "You lost me here." How would our learning to make a decision help Indy to make a decision? Would it really? Then what would he do? How would he better help other beings having problems with this? Or would the other beings that are having problems cause Indy not to learn to make his own decisions? Or are there no people that Indy knows that he can learn from now so that he could be different? Or are we talking global change here? What I was trying to say was that sometimes it is possible to learn from watching others learn. Indy would like to do this. Then he might be better able to teach this process. Or perhaps not. At least I think that is what I meant. The Unity, card 1, knows there are plenty of beings who need help with this. Okay, if you get this card in a reading, it's decision time. Time to make your mind up. Make a decision. Stop procrastinating. Then stick to your commitment. Set yourself a definite time period to complete this decision. Write down to the day and hour. Give yourself time to put the decision into practice before it is too late. Once that arbitrary but carefully judged decision time is set, ask for guidance for your highest good. Then weigh, consider, ponder, gather. If we do this, and if we have asked for aid, the answer seems somehow to fall magically into place at the appointed time. Then it is just a matter of trusting the answer and carrying it through. We can ask for help with that as well, if we wish. It is willingly given. Wow, I didn't know so many people had trouble making decisions. So, 64. He looks scary. The Gotcha, G-A-W-T-C-H-A, Gotcha. Sudden shock, unexpected events, the rude awakening. Oh, wow. Gotcha is the out-of-the-blue fairy. He likes to surprise us. You know you're walking along, minding your own business, or not minding any business at all, and the universe smacks you on the blind side with something that makes an awful splat. Unexpected demands from the tax man, the bank The bank's hole-in-the-wall machine eats your bank card late at night, while the blurry and irritable taxi driver is waiting. Your children find a way to dye themselves green just before your in-laws arrive. A meteor hits your car. Gotcha is, of course, capable of happy surprises as well as shocking or miserable ones. Perhaps your lottery ticket wins. There's a school of thought that says this is just karma. We deserve it for sins we have totally forgotten in other lifetimes. But not so. Karma is about lessons we need to learn, not about punishment. And meaningless events don't teach us much. So this may be karma, but it isn't that kind of karma. There is another school of thought that says all of these things are our choices. We chose to be here when this was happening. We chose to step in front of the invisible cosmic bus. There is some truth to this on one level of being high in the superconscious. As Gotcha says, I know more than I see. But most of us don't function at that exalted intuitive level of consciousness much of the time. However, many of us do get hints, little flashes of intuition, and sometimes big flashes of intuition. We often say, I knew I shouldn't have gone that way, or trusted that person, or invested in that stock. These two things Gotcha is trying to teach us. He says he doesn't enjoy doing it, but do I believe him? Actually, I do, mostly. First, we need to learn to listen to and trust our intuition. We need to be awake and aware. It is just part of what we need to learn in order to fulfill our potential. To have happy and satisfying lives. Without it, we are sleepwalking in the world, missing all of the wonders and joys, while not missing many of the bumps and pitfalls. Second, when there are lessons we need to learn, or when there are experiences that are properly other people's but that have impacted us, we need to learn to roll with the punch, to take that as it comes to us, learn what we can from it, and regain our balance as quick as possible. Things happen. We can't always control them, and we can't always get out of their way. We don't always even have a choice about them. For example, to live with a beloved animal friend probably means that you are going to lose that creature at some point, because most pets have shorter lifetimes than humans do. Other things happen as well. People occasionally win huge sums of money, but this too we need to be able to take in our stride and not be completely lost in it. Gotcha knows we like to build sturdy, rigid structures in our minds and lives, but he also knows that these often are not good for us. Sometimes we even complain about them, muttering about life being dull or boring, yet we cling to them tenaciously. Such inner and outer rigidities usually encourage stagnation, and the Unity, card 1, insists on growth. So, to help us along, Gotcha kindly delivers these sudden surprises. Yet, how often do we remember to say thank you? It's hard. Gotcha says, doing such a difficult job, it's enough to drive a fairy to drink. From the look of that bloodshot eye, he has already been into some of the more potent otherworld nectar. Bad fairies nip and prod us, asking for simple acknowledgement of their presence in our lives, insisting that we take notice of them, the first step to healing and change, by Brian. And remember to thank the bad fairy. Alright, Gotcha in a reading. If you get this in a reading, it speaks to us sudden, often violent breakdowns of existing structures, habits, patterns, or attitudes when we become too tightly confined by our own self-imposed limitations, including the desires for comfort and security. Gotcha kindly breaks the structure restraining us, whether we think we want him to or not, on a soul level. We know this to be necessary, but in our everyday thoughts, we usually get pretty upset about it. However, breakdowns can lead to breakthroughs. This is liberation, and we often haven't a clue what to do with it. This is usually the beginning of a period of confusion, even disorientation, while we search for a way forward, although we may think we are simply searching for a way back to what we had before. Recommendation: do not try to pick up the pieces and put them back like they were. Consider instead what you would like to build in that part of your life, and this time remember to leave room for growth. And embrace change. That would be a good one too. Alright, so this is the cards for, I want to say, Thursday night. Alright, have a blessed day.